Hi, it's Mercedes, and we're continuing on with the spiritual laws and the dialogues and the learnings that I have used and received as I have gone through the very initial stages of my cancer journey. About a year ago, it started. Welcome to this series of dialogues, and thank you for being here. Listen, it's really difficult when just in life you're going through something and you're kind of wondering, why isn't it showing up? I've done all of the work. I've laid the groundwork. I've weeded. I've tilled the soil. I've weeded it. And now I'm waiting for this manifestation to seed so that I can reap the benefits of my hard work. And I think it's one of the hardest things for me. One of my life lessons has been patience. So it's hard, when I think that I've put everything in place and I've done everything that I can and I'm expecting a certain result. So the expectation and the anticipation is a spiritual state of being. It is a way you've done the work, you're expecting something to happen. The thing that I personally have had trouble with is just releasing it and allowing it to flow in. Spirit was very clear, and I've got to do a whole dialogue and learning session on the flow and allowing things to actually come into you, flow into you through the practice of spiritual circulation. But the other piece of it is just sort of waiting patiently. One thing happened during this process. It was like 8 years ago I had been wanting this particular thing to show up. And it's like, you're showing up now? What's up with this? Well, I was ready for it. I was maturing enough for it. I was spiritually ready for that particular space and relationship to come into my life now. And it was so interesting because I needed it now. Probably didn't need it back then, wouldn't have appreciated, wouldn't have known what to do with, in this case, that particular person in my life. I wouldn't have had an appreciation for it the way that I had an appreciation for it showing up now, 8 years later. So that's just, there's no time and space. So that's the other thing. We're putting things in place. We're working. And then it's kind of like, okay, I've done everything that I can do. I have to let it go. That is the law of vibration. Okay, the law of vibration simply states that the universe is moving, the universe is dynamic, the universe is always energized. God is in action, God is working. Even if we cannot physically see it, God is in action. God is working. The energy you have activated is manifesting, is actualizing, is moving. Something is going on. You just can't see it, taste it, hear it, and perceive it through your five senses. So the law of vibration, I've been talking about, Spirit had asked me to say, okay, give sort of an action step, not just sort of talk about the law like it's this lofty thing. So the law of vibration is divine order and knowing. And the knowing part is, that heart affirmation, the faith is the sight of things unseen, right? Well, I'm going to take it a little bit steps past that. We're going to energize it and concentrate it and give it sort of a turbo boost by saying, we know. We've done it. We know. We just got to let it go and let it come. Okay? And so we're always in circulation. We're always circulating. It may not come through the way that you have purposed or, said it's going to come this way. You are the catalyst. You are not the creator. Well, no, that's not right. Oh, no, let me do this through. I was going to say you are the catalyst, not the creation. But you've instigated the creation. Now you have to let the material and the energy and the heart and the emotion and everything that needs to sort of go into the mixing pot to make the cake. Now you've done all of that. You've poured it. It's in the oven. So you're expecting that cake is coming. You're going to pull out that cake and it's going to be delicious and magnificent. Delicious, one of my favorite words. So the law of vibration for me, has been one of the hardest ones to just sort of sit back and relax. When we're on this journey, the thing for me has been, I know I've done my breath work. I know I've done my healing. I know I'm eating differently. I know that I'm taking my vitamins. I know, why is this sensation showing up in my body? And if you go to my website, we name those the mind blanks. And I say, you can't let this mind blank, turn you in a different direction. And that's when you have to stand in the law of vibration, say, I know things are moving in the direction that I've planted. That seed is germinating. That seed is the mustard seed. It can't be hybrid, can't be cross-pollinated. You plant the mustard seed, you're going to get mustard greens, okay? So you're going to get that mustard plant. So guess what, folks? We have to get into that space of divine patience, divine knowing, and divine order. Those are the things we're elevating. It is the patience. If you want to use the language that has been given, I mentioned the elevates it into the divine. And then the actualization is the patience is here. The patience, not patient. The patience is here. The thing is here. The emotion is here. The relationship is here. It is actualize. I don't know what has going on with my English today. Materialized and here. So the law of vibration basically says to everything is moving and dynamic. God is working on my behalf. God is for me, as me, and through me. Now, this is another thing that I have not really, I have not really emphasized in the other discussions and dialogues in the series. There is no separation. English is a language basically of separation. There is no separation between that which you are creating and the creation itself. You are the creator. You are Anoni Eshkena, the aspect and individualized magnificence of creation. And so it is there. Now, there's different components that may have to come together and to become actualized. Why am I having trouble with that word? To become here, to be here now in your space, densified and materialized. So there is no separation. And sometimes when I'm saying things in these discussions, in these dialogues, I have said them through language of separation. There really is no separation. And this particular law of vibration is the law that emphasizes that the most. So what I end up having to work through and massage and hold my ground on and get reminded by the crew that, aren't we holding a ground for this? Aren't we holding ground for that? And there's a pain in my body or there's a sensation happening and we're holding ground for my healing. Complete 100% spiritual remission of this occurrence in my body. And they haven't wavered, but I'm the one living it. And so there's something going on and I'm like, ooh, oh, and the worry starts. So you start giving the pain more credence. Like 98% of your body feels well. And then there's this little dabbing pain, in my case, something happening in my system, in my, my stomach or something. I've eaten something. I've got food sensitivity. All of a sudden, I don't know why this one I feel fine and this one I don't. And it could be 2 months later and the whole thing shifts and reverse again. And so I'll have this sensation in my stomach, like, ooh, that didn't sit well or something. And then the mind blanks start. And you spend so much more time there than focusing on the fact that I got up and walked to UNLV, did some Qigong, or the fact that I was able to, I always go back to the simple things, because a year ago the simple things just were tough, but the fact that I got up and I did 5 loads of laundry, and folded my clothes today, or the fact that I was able to educate my mind. I've talked about how valuable YouTube is. I got a wonderful lecture series yesterday that is going to help me on some things that I'm personally working on. So we tend to focus on that one inkling, that 1%, that 1/2 of one minuscule percent of something that twitched, and then not focus on the fact that we've planted seeds with faith, knowing, and patience, and we know that it's flowing in and it arrives at the exact right moment, at the exact right time, and that we are holding our spiritual ground for that. Now, vibration tends for me to be an instance where I have to bring in the other laws because of what I've just described. That one thing, I'm human, I get thrown off track a little bit, and I go, oh, this is happening or that's happening. Okay, how do I make the shift? If I even know that I'm there, that's the other piece. Oh, thank God for my crew. I talked at least, I don't think 2 or 3 days go by because I am well. And so we're not checking in on the hour every hour, right? So, but thank God for my crew. And this is really something that if you have a good crew around you, whatever you're naming your posse, they'll say, hey, why are you focusing on this instead of this? Okay, so I had a magnificent trip to Scottsdale. I've been exhausted ever since. And I've had to make some shifts in my thinking, and I've had to make some care decisions for myself that I will know going forward when I take a trip like that, like a very intense seminar experience, that I'll put some things in place. But that does not mean that I should be thinking about, oh, I can't ever take a trip like that again or anything like that. No. The crew points these things out to me as I'm in the middle of going down that slippery slope of what the hell just happened here, right? The crew stops me. Okay? It is so important. If you don't have a crew, I'm not certain right now what we're going to be putting in place, but we are going to be putting something in place. But you've got to have that one, at least one, your clergy, right now, a doctor, a therapist. I mean, if you don't have a stone, yesterday I have this, I don't have it here, I'll bring it. I have this amethyst, it's literally this long, that came to me since this journey began. And I was not going to be calling the posse. Was not going to be calling the crew. I was like, Mercedes, you've got to work through this. I put that stone on my chest, and I laid there and listened to those spiritual lectures, and I got my answer as far as how I'm going to self-care and self-correct and accept, come into a state of acceptance, because we have to make shifts. This journey is unpredictable. We are not in control to a certain extent. When you go to the doctor's office, and we can't control their mindset and whatever, but we have to gird up and we have to know that we are in the process of whatever seeds you've planted for yourself. The law of vibration is that divine order, divine patience, and the divine understanding and expectation that God is working for you, God is in action for you, and just because you can't see it does not mean that it is not in process. Got that? All right. So this law, more so than probably any other law out of the 7 I'll be discussing, is a law of the unseen. And the law of standing in your spiritual conviction, knowing that you've planted that seed, and the only thing that's coming out of that oak seed is an oak tree. The only thing that's coming out of that mustard seed is a mustard tree. The only thing that's coming out of that seed that you have planted for your divine wellness and your divine state of being and your divine godliness and your divine holiness and your divine wellness, the only thing that's coming out of those things are those seeds are the wellness, the holiness, the oneness. And so when you feel yourself wavering, because this law is, for me, I'll just speak in terms for me, one of the hardest things to actually put in practice and put in place and have the patience to actually stay in the law and stand in that law, is the one that when you have an understanding and an appreciation and the understanding that you can apply. This is spiritual application. It's applied spirituality, that you can use it in combination with the other laws to keep yourself in your spiritual conviction and in your spiritual right, your spiritual righteousness. Really, your spiritual righteousness, that this is that which I am manifesting, creating, and bringing towards me. Now, the things that may occur, this is just one really quick thing, because I'm bringing this because this is very recent for me. The things that may occur is sort of the step by step. So yesterday, I had mentioned that I needed an adjustment, and I was sitting, and I went into my I ams, those 108 I ams. I went into that space, and I sat quietly, and what bubbled up was the energizing or the reinforcing of my energy, right? And then a way to do that. So sometimes these things come in a couple of different ways, and God is in action, but we don't always recognize it. So sometimes it is an occurrence that will lead you to a step on the path towards the actualization of the magnificence that you've planted. Okay, the thing that you've desired, it might be a step. So in my case, I have a hurt to be doing this work right now, these dialogues and discussions, these dialogues and learning, and here I am so tired. Well, that was actually a lesson for me. That was a step towards my success and magnificence in the future. Because in the past, prior to cancer, I would just work and work and work and work and work and work and work. So what God actually showed me was self-care, self-consideration, and and a way that said, okay, you can't give everything to this endeavor. You have to save something for self. You have to find a way to be happy and joyful and playful in this work. Don't set it up like in the past when you were corporate executive and it was just slugging and slugging and slugging and slugging and slugging away. So it was okay. That's what I learned these last 3 days. It was okay. It was okay to get the rest I needed. It was okay to honor myself. Here is a way to nurture yourself through this process and keep your happiness. Because if you're dead dog tired, how can you possibly be happy doing something? It just becomes like you're treading through quicksand or cement or something. So it's so important to understand that the law of vibration is also very subtle. It's not going to hit you upside the head and say, oh, here's the oak tree. You planted the oak tree here. And we're going to hand you the oak tree. Sometimes there's a process or a step along the way, and we have to be able to see the small successes and see the magnificent blessings along the way. And within each of those teachings is God. Whatever has shown up for you is God. It is truly divine order, divine patience, and divine action. God in action. All right. Well, I love these laws. I'm not. Well, I wouldn't consider myself expert level, but I am a work in progress. But I love, especially through this year, what these laws have given me as far as an understanding that I am in power. You know, I've been talking about the spirituality of cancer. It is a culture of I can. So when somebody says to me, I can't, and I believe in my gut that I am supposed to, like I can feel it, like I got, this is the way I'm supposed to go. This is what's going to be best for me. And I apply one of these laws.
when any two gather in my name, one of the crew comes and we're working on something together, and then I get to sit in that quiet space, the I ams, and I journey into the I am mind, and I get a bubbling up and an inspiration. This is the power. So when I say the spirituality of Cancer truly is the culture of I can and the consciousness of living, and then we use it and we apply the power of the I am, this is the spirituality of Cancer. And we are allowed to give ourselves permission to say, I'm going into a different space, a different place, so that I can come into peace, understanding, and strength and conviction. Not this hoping and thinking. Not at all. Not at all. You have the power through the I am. Okay? I love you. I love you. Thank you very much. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.